Hello all. So as you know, we are talking about what's new in Business Central 2023 release wave 2 in today's video, and I'm going to switch gears a little bit. We'll be talking about one of the performance enhancement which is pretty big from an feature perspective, which talks around performance, and the title of that enhancement is data load faster in the server. So now let's understand it, and I would highly encourage if you are a BC developer to stay till end, because there is quite a good amount of change is happening with this enhancement, and you should be updated about it. So without wasting further time, let's understand what's in the review release notes. So the title of that is data load faster in the server, and the details is the release focus on optimizing an essential part of the data stack in Business Central, the data model for table extension. So in the previous releases, which is still Business Central 2022, which is the currently available version, when a developer extends a table, which means when you create a table extension, the field of the table extension was stored in a separate table called companion tables. The design was chosen to make app life cycle, which is install, update, uninstall, non-destructive to normal users of the base table. Unfortunately, it had an impact on the runtime performance of system because the Business Central server need to join data from table extensions while reading data from the table. As an example, for a table with 7 table extensions, the server might need to join 7 ways to join. And there were other enhancement release to see how we can solve this problem. One of them is partial loading, and if you haven't, I guess you should read about it. It's pretty interesting how that kind of tries to solve this problem. But in this release, Microsoft is going to change that. So what I'll do in this video, we'll try to understand what is the status quo as of today, which is still Business Central 2022, and what is going to change in Business Central 23. So developers, please fasten your seatbelt and let's have a look. So what I've done for this particular demo is I have created 3 extensions. The first extension adds a extension to customer table and 2 fields into it, demo int and demo code. And in the similar lines, the second extension also does the similar thing on the customer table, but this has a different prefix, which is ABC, demo code and demo int. The numbers are different, so there will be no overlap. And then the third one, which does the similar thing on the customer table, but the prefix is XYZ, and it adds the same field on the customer table. So now we have these 3 extensions in the database, or in my VS Code with 3 different extensions. What we are going to do is we are going to install these extensions into my Business Central 22 first and see how it looks like if you haven't seen it behind the scene, and then we'll go back and check on Business Central 23, the same extension. So to save some time, what I've done is I've already created a PowerShell script where I'm trying to publish, sync and install the extension 1, extension 2 and extension 3. At this moment, let's go to SQL Server also. If I look into my BC22 and if I search for the table named as customer, I'll see one table, which is the customer table, which is coming from the base Microsoft extension. And I hope that we all know that this is the GUID of the Microsoft extension, the base app. So this have all the columns and all the fields from Microsoft. Now, when we publish all these 3 extensions, and let's quickly do that. I forgot to skip the verification because this is just for the demo. So I'll just add that on all these 3. Okay. Let's do the publish, sync and install for the first one. And that should get into my environment. Done. Let's bring the second one in. Okay. And let's bring the third one in. So now what I've done, I have installed 3 extensions which are extending the customer table. I'll quickly refresh this view. And what you'll notice now that there are four tables. One that is coming from the base Microsoft, this one, and then these three are for the three extension that I have built in, right? The first one contains two columns with XYZ. The second one contains two columns with SDH, and the third one contains two columns with ABC. And the name of these tables are appended with the respective GUIDs of those extensions which are these part of. So let's have a look on that also before we move forward. So my first extension, which is the SDH1, has a GUID of 70F4, which is attached to this one. So this GUID kind of get attached to the customer table, and you see that there are two fields. In the same way, my second extension, which should be this one, if I look at the app.json of it, the extension GUID is A5F1, which is this one, and this will contain two fields with the ABC as defined here. And on the similar line, we are looking at the third extension, which comes with a GUID of 66E, which have two fields again, and they are associated with this extension. So that was the status quo till now. That is how it was working till now. Everything was fine. We all were doing things, and that was one of the reasons why I would not recommending customers to use SQL directly for their reporting, even on-prem. But okay, let's see what happens when we publish the same extension into my Docker environment. So let me just try to connect to my Docker environment and key in my password for my Docker. And this is my Business Central 23 Docker environment. Just today, Microsoft enabled the Docker environment for Business Central 23. So that's why we are talking about it now. Okay. So I'll do the same thing. I'll apply the same filter, $customer. Okay, and dollar. That gives me one table again. Hopefully, yes, two tables because there are two companies. Okay, one for each company. Now we'll go back to PowerShell, and this time we'll try to publish the same apps into my Docker container. So I'll publish the first one. If the command is correct, hopefully it is correct. It should get published there. Okay, it's trying to publish it there. And once that get published, we will install these two. Now what happens with this is a little bit interesting to see how Microsoft have changed how it looks in the SQL Server, and then how performance optimized that new implementation method will be when this gets available as general availability. Okay. So it's doing the installation and synchronization, and because it's on the Docker, it kind of takes a little bit of time to do all these three things together. So let's wait for a while. As this gets passed, we'll install the other two, which is our extension 2 and 3. So till then, let's understand what was happening while these two are getting installed. So anytime when you said in your code that you want a field from table A, B, and C, from customer table, and you had three table extension as we have right now, the SQL behind the scene was doing a join between the main Microsoft table or an ISV table and all the companion table, which is the table extension. And as more the joins will be, we all understand the SQL query will run a little bit slower in that case. So now let's understand what happens when we deploy all these three extensions into my Docker environment for BC23. So I do a refresh and we see nothing at this moment. So let me try to see. It might take some time. It's not coming here. Okay, is it going in this? I doubt. Let me do a filter. This is the multi-tenant Docker environment, so I'm not a little bit sure, but let me see. Okay. Customer, did we find anything on this? Yes, we did. Okay, now pay attention to this design. And I don't know how you zoom in SQL. Is there a way? I don't see a way. Let me search how to zoom SSMS. Okay, control and we'll scroll, it says, which is not happening. Okay. Okay, I should have found it earlier. I cannot, which is weird. Okay, I just want to make sure that you guys see what I'm trying to show you. Okay, but it is not zooming in. That's odd. But okay, is there a way to kind of zoom somewhere? No, I don't see that. Let me pause the video for a while and let me find that. Okay, so I found it out. If you want to know that, just FYI, let me know in the chat or in the comment. I'll make sure that we talk about it. Okay, so why I was taking a break is I want you to focus here at this point. What I've done, if you remember, I have installed the same three extension that I installed on my Business Central 22 environment, and it gave me three extension. In each of the name of the table that I have in SQL was associated with the name of the actual table and then the GUID of the extension from where those fields were coming from, the table extension. To increase the performance, what Microsoft have done is they have added just one table, not three this time, only one table, and that table has the same name as the base Microsoft table, but at the end it have a word dollar extension, which means at this point, when I look at the columns, I should see all the columns from SDH, from ABC, and from XYZ. All three extension which you are trying to extend the customer table, all the fields that are coming from there are residing in one single SQL table, which the name of the table is exactly same as the Microsoft table, but it also get appended with the $ext, which represent an extension, if I'm understanding it correctly. But there is a slight change also, that each field now got a GUID which explains you from where this extension or this field is coming from. So my first two fields are coming from extension 1, which have the same GUID, whereas my next two fields are coming from extension 2, which again have the same GUID, and same for my last two fields. Now, when you think from a performance perspective, when you do a find set or when you do a get, what it'll do, it'll just have to do one single join between the main table, which is the base Microsoft table, and then the extension table. And the result of that will give you all the fields coming from all the extensions which are extending that base Microsoft table or ISV table. Now keep in mind that the rules remain same for a custom table that is part of your extension and somebody else is extending it. But when you are creating a new table, the rules of the game will remain same. The table will get the name of the company name, in this case, if it is data per company, the table name that you have given in your AL code, and then appended with the GUID that that extension is coming from. So the table names will not change from a new table perspective, but only when you are trying to extend an existing table that can be from Microsoft or from any ISV that you're trying to extend, a new table will be created for all the extension which will be extending that table, and all the field will reside in one single table. And to make it easier, what Microsoft have done is they have added these two fields, which then they have added the GUID on the field name, which explains Microsoft from which extension this particular field is coming from. Hopefully that kind of makes sense. Now let's try to do something. Let's try to uninstall one of these extensions and see what happens when we do that. So let me go to my command prompt or command add-on and try to do a unpublish. Now first uninstall, like hope, uninstall BC container app. Okay. The name of the app, let's say we are trying to uninstall extension 3. let's just do an uninstall of this, and my container name remains same. I don't want to save the data, I don't want to save the schema, and I'll just try to uninstall this. Yes, now this is uninstalled. Let's also do the unpublish of this. Okay, unpublish BC container app. Let's give the name, which is my extension 3. Again, do not save the schema, and I could have used that so that both the things happen, but that's okay. All right, gone. Now what I've done is out of 3, I have just removed 1. Okay, so now when I refresh this table, which I'm doing right now, what happens with that is just those 2 fields which I have removed. The extension that I've removed, all the fields only associated with that extension are removed from the SQL Server table. Now let's think about the possibilities that this new design brings into the picture. Now you can have a key, and I'm hoping, I'm not making any assumptions right now, but I'm hoping that I now should be able to create a key of fields which are from multiple extensions. And I'm hoping, I'm not sure about it, because the limitation that Microsoft have till now, that each extension had its own table. So while you're trying to refer a field in the key, it need to reside in one single table to have it as an index or a key being created in the table from a SQL perspective. So you cannot, the limitation was that you cannot have a key where the some fields are coming from this table and the some fields are coming from this table. But now, and I'm just thinking loud, you'll be able to create a key for the 2 fields which are coming from different extension, because from the SQL perspective, they are part of the same table. But I still think that you will not be able to use Microsoft field in your table extension keys, because that is still a separate table in SQL Server. So bravo Microsoft, that's a great enhancement. I loved it. As an I'm pretty sure it's very hard to do from a development perspective, and I'll be interesting to see how the data upgrade happens with this model. I know it'll be a little bit challenging, but if you are a partner, if you are an ISV partner, and I'm just making these assumptions based on my understanding of the product, I'm hoping Microsoft have a plan of how to move the data between the new schema and the old schema, because this is a platform change, and I'm hoping that Microsoft builds in a feature to move the data from these, let's say, 7 different table extensions or tables in SQL to one single extension table in the new model. So what Microsoft has said for this, in this release, we changed the data model for table extension so that added field from all extensions to a table are now stored in single companion table. In the new model, the server will never need to do a join, or will never need to do more than a single join of the base table to a companion table, and Microsoft expect that it will drastically reduce the performance impact of table extension, and I'm in agreement with Microsoft. It will drastically improve the performance of the joins that were causing problems in the past. So let me know what you feel about this feature. I'm pretty sure that all of us are happy from a development perspective that this is a lot simpler. You will just get all the fields in one table. From a SQL perspective, if you are doing something crazy based on that design, and I have done one, I might have to rethink about my solution which I was doing. And this was just an internal tool that we are using in our organization. But I'm ready to bear that load, because that solves a bigger issue for my customer, which is a performance issue. So thank you, Microsoft, for introducing this feature. And I hope that every developer who is watching this video did like the video, did understand what the change was and how it will impact our lives as we go forward in future with the product. So if you like the button, if you like the content, then hit the like button. If you think the fellow developer community need to know about it, need to understand about it, do share this video with your friends so that they understand it. Make it so that we don't see a transition that normally happens with a technical change, that sometimes it takes years to for developers to understand how that change happened. So let's make sure that everybody understands it as soon as possible and do a better job in their development when they're doing it. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please hit that subscribe button. That helps us to understand how we are doing. So stay connected to this channel. There are a lot of new enhancement that has been introduced in the product, and we'll be talking about each of them in detail. If you have any feedback, comments, question, just please add them into the comments to this video. I'll make sure that I'll cover that. Till then, have a great day, and I'll see you next time.